called actual.
You always come up. No, I'll finish that later.
And we're live. We're here talking about Star Wars moments. And we've got a special guest here. We've got from the Shimon, we've got Andrew DiMolata.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good. Thank you for having me.
It's all good. Also here we've got Matthew Kearns.
I'm here. I'm back. I'm not going to do my own impression because my throat's a little weak today, but I'm here because it's Star Wars. Of course I was going to be here. Sure, I haven't won any Full Metal Classic Star Wars, but that's because I haven't played any. But I still have a right to be here. You know why? Because I own an authentic-looking Han Solo Empire Strikes Back jacket. Okay?
Authentic-looking.
And here for the first time, we've got Matthew Kearns' #1 fan, Billy Belford. Billy, how's it going?
That's right. I'm just here for the Kearns. I heard Kearns was going to be here, so I'm here too.
Billy, I want you to do something for me. Can you do something for me? Close your eyes. What do you see?
What?
Close your eyes for me.
Closing my eyes.
What do you see?
Darkness.
That's my life without you. Bro.
Oh, man. Getting deep in here.
And last but not least, we've got Kelsey. Kelsey, how's it going?
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm excited. I've been ready to talk about my favorite moments all day, so I'm happy to be here.
So how the show works is we go around and each person will nominate a Star Wars moment they think belongs on a top 12 list. And then we say either yes or no to whether it belongs there. And then at the end of the show, we rank all the ones that make the list. Pretty straightforward. I'm going to start with Andrew. Andrew, what's the first moment you
right off the bat, right? I mean, I don't want to just go top whatever's, but I'll start with a small moment for me. I mean, not really small, but it's the first thing anybody's ever seen in Star Wars, when it debuted. It's the opening shot of A New Hope with Tantive 4 and the Death Star flying over camera, and the Death Star just seems to keep going and going and going. And obviously I'm too young to have been there, when it debuted. So everything you read about, it's everybody's cheering. It's, oh my God, it's unbelievable how they pull that kind of shot off. So I think that's something that needs to be addressed, because just the moments I have picked out are maybe impactful to me, or things that you've heard are impactful to other people. So you have to start off to where it all started, basically, the very first shot of the very first Star Wars movie ever.
Kelsey, what do you think about the opening shot of A New Hope?
I absolutely agree. That is the moment that captured audiences from the get-go. The cinematography, especially for the time, is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It is a very impactful moment, and so I agree. I think it should be on the list.
Billy, what do you think about the opening shot?
I think one of the most important things about the opening shot is that it really shows you the scale, right away. You see a ship, and you're like, okay, it's a ship. And then you see a massive ship, and you're like,
mm-hmm.
Holy smokes, what is going on here? So if you have no, obviously nowadays everyone kind of has a knowledge of Star Wars, but if I would like to be one of those people who had no knowledge going into it, to see that moment and be like, what is going on, would be amazing. So I agree, it's a great moment.
With that, it does make the list. Matthew, what would you have said?
I think it's a really great moment. I think what Andrew said about the points have to be given for the fact that it was sort of, besides a long time ago on the crawl, it was the first sort of thing to sort of reel people in. I personally, I just think, particularly from New Hope, there's so many more moments that it doesn't quite make my short list. It's a great moment. I'm happy with it being on this list, but I probably would have said no.
And and I would have probably given it as a slight no myself, but it's a great shot, and it does belong on the list. But Kelsey, what's the next moment you're going to bring up?
All right, I'm also going to bring up a smaller moment that's very personal to me. So when Phantom Menace came out, I was 9 years old, And the moment when the reveal happens that Padme is actually Queen Amidala and it's been a decoy and everything like that was very impactful for me because we've slowly been falling in love with this character throughout the movie, and then finding out she's actually such a young royal and what she has done for her age. For me personally, it was very impactful, so I loved that moment.
Billy, what do you think about the Padme reveal?
I mean, it's one of the bigger moments from the prequels because it kind of like it really like starts to move the story along. It's not one of my favorite moments. Honestly, like Padme's not one of my favorite characters, but I mean, it is very impactful for the prequels, and it definitely moves the story along. Especially for a movie that wasn't big on story, like that first, like episode 1 is like a lot of like set pieces like thrown together, and then there's like there is story in it, but a lot of it doesn't like move together. So I mean, that was kind of like one of the big moving that story along. But
that's fair. Matt, what do you think about the Padme reveal?
Well, you see, the reason why I did the reveal was because I always like to have reveals. You know, I like to reveal characters, both literally and figuratively. And in this moment, you know, and Natalie revealed herself. No, this is a really great moment. I think my favorite part of this moment, it's not Padme centric, but it's the looks between Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. As if Qui-Gon's almost just like they had a bet going like, what do you think she's gonna reveal that she's the queen? And like everyone has to hand him like like some credits because he's like, all right, you son of a bitch, she did it a day earlier than I said. Like, I like that because that's in particular about the character Qui-Gon is that he knew she was the queen the whole time. You know, in that moment when the queen trusts my judgment, so should you. I don't approve. Like, he knew he's talking to the queen. He knew 100%. So it's a really great moment in the movie, and I love that film. But it's not one of my favorite. If we were doing a top like 50, I might be able to let Zion, but top 12, not quite. But again, that moment between Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, it's still, I just love those looks between them.
Yeah. But yeah, the Padme reveal is definitely one that I really enjoyed. I didn't have it on my list initially, but sort of after sort of thinking about it and just sort of, I think it belongs. I'm going to say yes. So sorry, Andrew, but you're the tiebreaker on this.
No pressure. No.
It is a good moment. Like, it's a good reveal. Yeah, when you look at it like in the context of the movie, especially now if you've read Queen's Shadow and you realize like what goes into like disguising the decoys and like Padme was never really my favorite character out of all the characters in the Star Wars universe, but then I read that book or I listened to it on Audible and completely flipped my perspective, and she's such a better character in that book than she is in the movies. I mean, I had my problems with her in Clone Wars as well because she always seemed to me be that character that's like, let's all talk this out in the middle of a fight, basically. But then I read, just listening to that book just completely flipped my what I thought of that character. But I wouldn't put this moment in my top 12, but it is a good reveal when you look at it in the context of the film. Yeah, and the only reason it's not in my top 12 is because I have like a list of like 25 moments that I'm just gonna like, but it's not like in my top 12.
But yeah. Bully, what's your first moment you're going to bring up?
So my first moment is so I'm not the biggest Luke fan. I know, shocking, like that, most people love Luke, but my absolute favorite Luke moment is at the beginning of Return of the Jedi when he goes into Jabba's palace, and that's like the first time that he's like badass Luke to me. Like, he's in full command of his powers. He is a Jedi, like borderline Jedi master. Like, he can do no wrong as he like is this badass going all the way into Jabba's palace and like confronting Jabba. And that's my favorite Luke moment of the entire of all of Star Wars. So that's my moment for the top 12.
Matt, what do you think about Luke in Jabba's palace?
It's a really great moment, and I am a huge Luke fan. He is my favorite character in Star Wars and just in general of everything. I really like that moment. I think it is a really cool thing. Like when he walks in and the guards come up and he like the only way I've ever been able to describe it since I was a kid is like force pressure points. He's never quite choke them. Because he's Luke. But yeah, and then when he comes in, the lighting is so cool and the all black, like it really is cool. I think I'm going to say no just because there are 2 more moments of Luke and Jedi that I like just a little bit more than this moment. But if it gets on the list, I won't be upset because Billy is right. It was a really great, just like, even before he said anything, it's just like a badass intro. And then when he does take the hood off, it's like cool because it's Luke.
Luke in Jabba's palace is one. I'm going to say yes to this because I do think it's a great moment and does belong here and it's just one of those ones in which it does show sort of Jabba's Luke's badassness, and I just rewatched Return of the Jedi the other day, just the chills of that moment, and especially the reaction to everyone sort of seeing Luke come in was incredible too. But Andrew, what do you say about Luke and Jabba's palace?
I'm going to say yes, and I'm shocked that I didn't put this on my list because it's such an iconic moment because the last time we see Luke ever in a Star Wars movie, he's defeated. He lost his hand. He just found out Darth Vader is his father. So like he's at his weakest when we last see him basically in Empire Strikes Back. But the very next time we see him in Return of the Jedi, the very first time we see him in Return of the Jedi, he's a completely different character. He's all black. He's in control of his abilities in the Force. And the very next thing he does, he mind tricks Bib Fortuna. So for me, it's an absolute yes. And I'm shocked myself. I didn't recall that moment.
Kelsey, what would you have said about Luke and Jabba's palace?
I'm very similar where it was not on my list, but now that we're talking about it, it's like, why wasn't it on the list? It is such a cool moment. I like just getting to see him and all the black. It's just, yeah, I would have voted yes. But it's just such a good scene.
Yeah. Matt, we go to you next.
This is tough because there's a lot of moments I'm going to bring up because there's so many great moments in Star Wars. Okay, I'm going to bring up this one first. So it's a moment. It's from A New Hope. The way I wrote it down was just Han charges stormtroopers. It's right after they've sort of located the Falcon. They talk to the droids. They turn the corner, and there's just a group of stormtroopers. It's them, blasts them. Han shoots them, runs, screams at Luke and Leia, get back to the ship, and he runs. He turns the corner, and then, depending on which version you watch, there's either just the group of them and an empty wall, or there's a ton, and then Han and Chewie just sort of shoot, and they run, and they just have to just evade all these troopers. I love this moment because the thing about Han in A New Hope is, for a lot of the movie, he's very like, I'm in it for the money. I don't care about any of you guys. I look out for just one person, me. This is the moment when we start to see the Han that we're definitely going to see at the end of the movie that saves Luke, and when we're going to see in Empire Jedi, where despite this cocky, I only care about myself bravado, there's a hero. Because within a split second of seeing this group, he shoots one of the troopers, rushes, and tells Luke and Leia to get out, get to the ship, and leave. Like, leave me, go. And I love it. It is probably my favorite moment from A New Hope. So Han charges the stormtroopers.
This is the moment I didn't actually consider for mine. But in thinking about it, I'm going to say yes to this. I think it's definitely a good moment. And it's definitely one of the probably the most underrated Han Solo moments in there because I don't hear a lot of people actually talking about it. So I'm going to say yes. Andrew, what do you say about Han charging stormtroopers?
I do agree that it is an underrated moment for him, but because I think the reason people don't think about this moment more is because it's overshadowed by him coming back during the Battle of Yavin. But unfortunately, I'm gonna have to say no to it because for me, at least, it plays off more comedic than it does showing off how a hero is. Because again, it's overshadowed by that moment when he comes back at the end of the movie. Because again, it depends on which version you see it in. Is it the original theatrical cut? Is it the special edition? Because in the theatrical cut, there's only 5 of them that turn around. It's like, so why is he turning around for 4 or 5 people? I don't know. So again, I do agree that it is underrated, but for me, it's a no.
Kelsey, what do you say about Han charging the stormtroopers?
This show is going to be so hard because every single moment we talk about, I'm like, yes. And then I remember we can only do 12. And then I'm thinking about other moments that just mean so much more to me. So I love that scene. I definitely do feel like it develops Han as a character, but I do feel like there are other moments Han's a little bit stronger in. So it would be a no for me.
And Billy, what would you have said?
I think I would have said yes, because the key to what makes Han Solo the character that he is that he's a scoundrel, which we see at the beginning of the movie. He's a hero, which we see at the end of the movie. But he's also like he's the comedic chops of the movie. Like he is, he's the one that has to deliver the comedy that is that, like, people talk about all the time, like that's Star Wars comedy. And most of that is Han Solo. And this is really the first time we get to see like real comedy that is Han Solo. And it's like a great little scene of them running back and forth. It calls back to a lot of other like comedy staples of like almost like Keystone Cops and like, running around rooms and things like that. But that's the first time we see his comedy. I would say it's kind of like a borderline one, because I think like there are other comedic moments that are better and fit his character better, but it is a really great moment. And it is the first time you see his comedic timing and his comedic delivery, which becomes a hallmark of his character.
But it's down to me, and I'm going to go for the most recent movies. But the moment I'm going to bring up is the scene with Chewie and the Porgs, and he's just around the campfire, and the Porgs just look at Chewie's like, don't eat me. The Porgs were the big rage before Baby Yoda, and I think this moment, it may be a small moment, but it's just one of those cutesy moments that just always gets you in the feels every time you see it. Andrew, what do you say about the Porg scene?
I'm torn on Porgs. I mean, when they're used properly, they can be very effective. But this is one of the scenes where I actually rolled my eyes in the theaters. I'm like, oh god, come on, we're doing eating Porgs jokes, really? And like it's you do it once. I know, like there's this one scene that got released from Rise of Skywalker with they fly now, and it's like, say it once, fine. Say it twice, all right. You say it a third time, it's like, come on, guys, we can't. We had to say it a third time, and that's what this scene kind of represents for me, because it's like when they're used right and the humor is right, with them like playing with the lightsaber when we first see them. That's an example of them, for me at least, being used in a right comedic way. And I just think this scene with Chewie was just a little too much for me, so I'm gonna have to say no.
Kelsey, what do you say about the Porg scene?
I also have a weird opinion about the Porgs. I think they're a clever way to deal with a problem during filming when there's so many birds on the island. Like, okay, it's a clever way to do that. When Chewie, that whole scene happened, I was upset with him. It's like, you just cooked it and then you didn't eat it. You're being wasteful at this point. You know what I mean? So like that whole scene, I got a chuckle out of it, but on rewatches, it's definitely not a scene that sticks out for me. So I'll say no.
Billy, what do you say about the Porg scene?
I mean, I'm definitely down on Porgs, so like I think the Porgs are like the new Ewoks. Like if you were a certain age when you saw them, or in a certain mindset when you saw them, you love them. And if you were like older or just a curmudgeon like me, you're like, what are we watching here? So like
curmudgeon.
I actually like a little, like, I think the Porgs could have been used more sparingly, like kind of like Andrew said, like they kind of almost beat us over the head with them. Like, and honestly, that was the one scene I thought they shouldn't have had. Like, there's the first scene where we don't know if he ate or killed the porg. Like, we think he killed the porg, but maybe he didn't. Then we see dead porg, and then the porgs are in the Millennium Falcon, like flying along with them. I'm like, if you cut out the middle scene, then it's just like we think he ate them, but all of a sudden, no, they're in the Millennium Falcon. Porgs are safe, but we got dead porg. Like, why did we need dead porg? It's not like they ate it. They never would have eaten an Ewok. Like, so I'm gonna say no on that one.
Matt, what do you think about the porg scene?
Malcolm uses porgs. It's not effective. I like Malcolm knew to leave me last when it came to this. Yeah, the porgs, like, I think it kind of like Kelsey said, I get it. It was a way you had a bunch of birds on the island, so make them into Star Wars creatures makes sense. But I kind of felt like that's where you should have left it, was just like have them as the background thing. It kind of annoyed me that like they're living in the Falcon, they're doing all this. It was just like what started off as just a clever solution to a problem instead of like introducing like real life birds into Star Wars, having alien ones made sense, and then this scene really did push that. And yeah, I'm not a fan of the porgs. Eat them all, Chewie.
Eat them all.
We get fried porg at Galaxy's Edge next year. That'd be
Yeah, I buy it.
they're a nuisance, aren't they?
Instead of a turkey leg.
Yeah, pork leg.
Right,
Pork
porg.
leg.
Andrew,
Porg.
what's the next movie?
Well, they have
you
fried
gonna bring up?
stormtrooper there as well.
Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna go a little bigger moment for me for this one. We go to The Last Jedi, and this is one of the moments where there's moments again that impact me while I'm watching the movie, or me personally. This one that hits me both ways, and it's Force Ghost Yoda appearing at The Last Jedi with Luke near the end of the film. Just the fact that like the camera like tracks over and the reveal of Yoda, and like I just like nerd fist, like, yes, Yoda's back. But it also speaks to me on a personal level because it's a master speaking to a fellow master. So that's like part of the Jedi thing, is you got to pass on what you learn. And it speaks to me personally because I'm martial artist of like several years. And I've taught students before, and that line of we are what they grow beyond, that's the burden of all masters. And it's like, wow, that speaks to me, because like I can remember many a times we're at tournaments and like I watch my students like winning. It's like it makes me feel great, because like I know I'm doing my job and my purpose as martial artist, to passing on my knowledge and its effectiveness with them. So yeah, Force Ghost Yoda and The Last Jedi is something that it's definitely on my list.
Kelsey, what do you say about Force Ghost Yoda appearing?
When I first watched the movies, I was very disappointed when Yoda passed, and getting to see him come back as Force Ghost and just do such good nuggets of words of wisdom. It was just so great to see him back. And so I say yes, it was definitely an impactful scene for sure. So
Billy, what do you say about Force Ghost Yoda?
I'm always down for any Force Ghost action. I like all the Obi-Wan stuff from the originals. I like the Yoda stuff. So in this one, and honestly, was really impactful because it kind of, in a movie that had its issues, at least for me,
me as well.
It really stood out as one of the most like iconic scenes, and also one of the like most important scenes of the movie. And so that really like even bumps it up another level. So I would say yes, I agree that this is one of the top 12 moments. It's one of the best Force Ghost moments as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And with that, Force Ghost Yoda does make the list. Matt, what would you have said?
Everybody liked it. They said yes. They don't need it. It's a really great moment. It's definitely not on my short list. I'm not sure what it is. There's something off whenever I watch it. Like I get what I'm supposed to be feeling, but I don't feel it, if that makes sense. It's like I get the emotion that they're getting at, but it just, for whatever reason, just doesn't hit. And I love Luke. I love Yoda. You would think them being back together, I would love, but there's just something that like when Luke talks to Obi-Wan in Jedi. That I get that, but I don't know. It's one of those weird things.
It might be he has more of a connection to Obi-Wan than he does Yoda.
It's possible.
I think that might be it.
Who knows? It's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're humans.
But yeah, it's I would have suggested Force Ghost Yoda. I'm one of those ones that last year I was kind of falling in the middle of my movie rankings. It's just one of those movies that I love or hate depending on when I watch it and what mood I'm in. But this
sober.
How many shots have you had?
But this moment is great no matter what thing is. It also sort of shows that the Force Ghost Yoda, the Force Ghosts can sort of do stuff rather than just sort of appearing to people to give them wisdom. They can actually use lightning and stuff like that.
And physically touch people with objects and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me, go sit.
Go
Okay?
sit. Yes. The infamous JTE go sit.
Okay? He sat down on the log.
But Kelsey, what's the next moment you're going to bring up?
All right. Well, this is going to bring up my morbid part. I'm a very strong Empire sympathizer. I love the Empire. So like my favorite movie probably in all Star Wars, I'll bring it up right now, is The Destruction of Alderaan. Like watching that movie for the first time, just getting to see the power behind what the Empire can do, which is like these guys are awful, but man, they can get stuff done. Dang. And then I love that part in the movie, but then also getting to read the story from Bale and Brea's point of view just makes that scene even more.
Yes.
And
Junkies unite.
So yeah, that's my scene. I love it.
Yeah.
Billy, what do you say about the destruction of Alderaan?
I was actually going to have that. That's what I was going to talk about next, was that scene, because honestly, like the key to Star Wars, what makes Star Wars as good as Star Wars is it's the balance of good versus evil, and it's always like good overcoming evil. And one of the things that a lot of people forget is that in A New Hope, Darth Vader's not the main villain. He's not the guy in charge. It's
Tarkin.
I can't remember his name. Yes.
Tarkin.
He is the guy in charge, and it's him when she says, he asks her where the base is, and she says where it is, and he's like, okay, well that's too far away, so we're just gonna blow up Alderaan anyway.
That's where it is.
Oh,
yeah.
This guy's like, this guy does not give two F's, and that was like just showed how like evil he is, and that whole scene is like, I love that whole scene. Like, I love him. He's so great. Like,
Tarkin's
that
such
really,
an underrated character in the movie. He's such an underrated character.
For sure.
Also, I was not told that there were books that we were going to be referencing. Reading is for nerds.
I asked if we were going to do all of canon, but he's like, nope, only the movie.
I know. I was wondering that
too. It was all
like,
canon. I had my list is like
the only
70.
book I've read the novelization Rogue One, so I'm with you. Of these canon things.
Yeah.
There's some good ones. You should really check them out.
That's a thing, right? Didn't he write 3 books?
Who?
I read those 3.
But Matt, what do you think about Death and Destruction?
That's what we're calling it.
Do we support Death and Destruction on the planet?
First thing is, I would love to watch the movie Schindler's List with Kelsey and just see what her opinions are on that. That's the first thing I want to say. I can make it back to Star Wars. Hey, look, I think Voldemort had a good idea. So the first thing is I think this is a great scene. I agree with the fact that Tarkin was in a lot of ways the main villain of A New Hope. He had the power in that sort of thing with Vader. We of course see, with the choking scene. I think Peter Cushing is such a good shit-sparking villain. Like, he was always going to blow up Alderaan. There was no version of this where he was not going to blow it up, and I love that. I love villains that are like that, to where it's just like, no matter what, and she gives, Dantooine. They're on Dantooine. Oh, you see, Lord Vader, she can be reasonable. You may continue with the operation. Fire when ready. What? I will say, however, this scene does get points taken away because it. Well, I love George, but some of his dialogue, I recognized your foul stench when I was brought on board, and her weird British accent. But the scene's great. It also led to one of my favorite Robot Chicken jokes, which is they're on Tatooine. You see, fire on Tatooine. After 4 years, the Darkins finally have a home they can be proud of. Hey, look, a light bulb. Tatooine, Vader, you've been to a cocktail party at my house, for God's sakes. That's amazing. You've never seen Robot Chicken? Check that one out. I think I'm going to say, which I never thought I would, I think I'll say yes, just because it wasn't on my list. Like, I'll say yes because I think this was the first time in that movie when you see Tarkin means business. Because I think if you take this scene out, the ending of the movie is not as strong because you're like, oh, well, where are they gonna? They're gonna actually blow up the planet. Like here, we saw them blow it up, and then of course, like with Rogue One, it's a little bit sadder because when you hear Bale say he's going back to Alderaan, you're like, no, Bale, just stay on cabin, don't go. Yeah, but yeah, so I'll say yes.
But yeah, I would have said yes to destruction of Alderaan. This is one of those moments which sort of shows sort of how far they're willing to go to get this information they want, and the fact that they're not going to stop at anything to get it to do it. It was just incredible. Andrew, what would you have said about?
I would have said yes. I mean, and this is another one that I'm surprised I didn't think of because again, there's so many great moments in Star Wars movies, and just reading the from a certain point of view, that story. You thought Bale going back to Alderaan in Rogue One was sad. It's this because like we've only seen the destruction of Alderaan from one point of view, and that was from the Death Star. Reading this story was like it's so heartbreaking to know like because while I'm reading, I'm thinking, are they going to like retcon something to have them leave the planet? But it's like no, they have no time, so they die in each other's arms, and it's so heartbreaking to see that, and that just adds to the amount. And also, not only that, but like from Lost Stars as well, to see how it not only affects the rebellion, but people in the Empire as well. That's a catalyst that takes people from the Empire to switch over to the rebellion because they can't believe that the Empire is capable of this kind of like devastation and just this pure evil. So I would have said yes regardless.
Billy, what is the next moment you're going to bring up?
Okay, so it's time to recognize the true hero of Star Wars. Some people think it's Luke. Some people think it's Han. Some people think it's Leia, Chewie. No, it's R2-D2. He is the true hero of Star Wars. And a forgotten moment that none of this happens if this moment doesn't happen is when he gets himself bought by Uncle Owen. If he doesn't if he buys the other droid, none of this happens. R2-D2 is just stuck with the Jawas. C-3PO is like translating sand people talk. Who knows? Like the true hero shows his first heroic moment, getting himself bought to make sure he ends up with Owen and Luke, so that he can deliver his message, staying on his mission, completing his mission. The hero of Star Wars, R2-D2.
Matt, what do you say about R2-D2 getting himself bought?
So what you're saying is the first heroic moment of R2 is being someone's second choice at a yard sale? That's fascinating, Billy. But no, you know what's funny about this is you would love the radio drama because in the radio drama, R2 actually screws with the other droid so that even if R2 wasn't picked, he would stay with 3PO. They sort of, because that's R2 for you. The little Swiss Army knife is like, no, I'm going here. I'm sticking with my friend. I do think this is I assume you're talking about the scene or just the moment of going like, what about that one? What about the blue one? What are you trying to push on us? Like the whole, because I think it is, it's a cool sort of like for Luke to first meet the droids and everything. It's and you get the nice little button on the scene with C-3PO, that's the last time I stick my neck out for you. I love the moment. I think it's great in the film. I'm going to say no just because on the top 12 list, it doesn't quite make it there. There's so many, but it's as Billy said when we watched this movie in New York, every scene in this movie is iconic. So, but yeah, I just can't quite. It's a great moment though, still.
Yeah. As much as I do think this moment is good, and if R2 hadn't screwed with the other droid to make it blow up and just to mess with it, but nothing would have happened. But I too probably going to say no. But it's a cool moment, but yeah, not top 12. But Andrew, what do you say about this?
I'm gonna unfortunately have to say no as well because not to go all canon on everybody,
Yep.
but I saw you down. I'm like, no. It's not actually R2 that is responsible for this moment. It's actually R5D4 that's responsible because in the novel, from a certain point of view, I believe R2 and R5 talk to each other, and he's like, please let me go. I need to be with this person, and it's R5 that sacrifices himself, and it goes okay. Then he destroys his motivator, and that's what causes them to choose R2. So another thing that new canon is sort of like not course correcting, but like sort of retconning.
I kind of think the way the radio drama had it was better. Having R2 just be a dick.
I mean, I don't read books. I'm not a nerd as we talk about Star Wars. So hashtag not my Star Wars.
Kelsey, what would you have said?
I was kind of for the reasons just said. That story kind of changes the scene to make it not really about R2 anymore. So I would have said no.
But Matt, we go back to you.
Yeah. Damn. This is really hard. So I'm between two. Okay, so I'm going to go with a moment that is very important to me. It's a moment you'll hear a lot more about coming up this week on an episode of my video essay series. I'm talking about the binary sunset, but not the one you think. I'm talking about the ending of Revenge of the Sith's binary sunset. Now, the reason why I'm doing this one is what I love about that movie and what I think that this moment really encapsulates is there's a lot of darkness in the world. And what the heroes of Star Wars do is in those dark times, they find these glimmers of light and they hold to them. That's what this moment is after everything we've seen in the movie. We've seen the fall of a hero. We've seen the rise of an empire. We've seen one hero that we've connected to over these films pass away. And Obi-Wan is so defeated. But in this moment, when he hands Luke over to Owen and Beru, and they have that great shot of Obi-Wan just sort of looking and thinking that this is the hope. This is what's going to make it all worth it. I'm going to devote my life to making sure he's safe and that he can do what I couldn't. And then you end on that great shot of Beru and Owen holding Luke, looking out into twin suns like Luke would do so many years later. And it's such a perfect way to end that film of there's darkness. There is. But there is light and you hold to it, and that's how we're going to win. So Binary Sunset, Revenge of the Sith is my next pick.
Yeah, it's definitely a good moment. I'm going to give it probably a slight yes. It's one of those ones which is a good moment, but it's one that I don't know how high it'll get, but I'll give it a slight yes. But Andrew, what do you say about the ending of Revenge of the Sith?
I do remember liking this shot when I saw it in theaters, and it's like, oh, it's the iconic binary sunset. Oh, I mean, I'll give it a yes too, but I don't know how high it'll get. I think it'll be lower on the list for me because it is an iconic shot. It's an iconic moment, but it's a recreation of an iconic shot that we've seen before.
Yeah.
So I'll give it a yes though.
But if that it does make the list, Kelsey, what would you have said about the ending shot of the Revenge of the Sith?
I definitely love the binary sunsets, all of them. If we have to have one of them on the list, I'm very happy with this one being on it because they are beautiful. The cinematography in that scene is amazing. Plus, I never really even like thought of that scene the way you brought it up, and that actually makes me like the scene more. So yeah, I'll give it a yes.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, that explanation definitely makes
Well,
it.
if you guys want
made it
more of
the-
that
yeah.
explanation, be sure to check out Second Look or Revenge and Sith, which drops this Friday, December 20th.
I'll be there. You sold me.
Billy, what would you have said about Binary Sunset?
Maybe after I watched Second Look dropping this Friday, I would add it to my list.
We're not saving plugs till the end.
Oh no, you guys do. I plug all that.
The whole time through.
I'm just here to plug Matt's stuff.
Oh.
But it wouldn't make my list just because I didn't get all of that Matt got. Now that he says it, it makes a lot of sense. But at the time, I didn't get all of that. I was like, look, Binary Sunset's
in
cool.
the new canon novel, Binary Sunsets by no.
How dare you have books?
I want to trademark that. So Disney, just start dating that. You gotta give me money. I'm stealing a name you own, but
yeah, but I'm going it's back to me, and I'm going to stick with Revenge of the Sith for now. But I'm actually going to go with Execute Order 66, and I'm going to sort of, for me, this moment encapsulates sort of seeing the shots of all the various Jedi Masters.
Jedi Church.
Yeah, but this whole moment is just the way it is, just sort of it shows sort of where all the Jedi ended up in between sort of A New Hope and why Yoda had to go to Dagobah and all that. Just this is just one of those moments that is great. And I mean, the one on Kashyyyk with I think it was Tarful or was it Chewie? But one of them just whoever picked Yoda up just put him on back to help
Chewie.
get Yoda back to his ship, and like it's just one of those, that part of the moment just shows how much all these other creatures like the Jedi, when they see these clones in which they thought were on their side just turn on them, just it's kind of heartbreaking in a way as well. Just like, but Andrew, what do you say about Order 66?
I mean, the weight of Order 66 execution, like the weight of it is all in Ki-Adi-Mundi's eyes when he turns around and he's charging the battle. It's like, let's go, come on! And he turns around, and that look in his eyes is just pure betrayal. And you add like that and scenes of like Jedi that we followed in these stories, and add it with John Williams' score behind it. I mean, I don't see why you don't put this on this list. It's such a powerful moment to like see like where all the Jedi ended up and like why we're only left with a handful of them. So that is an absolute yes for me. For Order 66 going on the list.
Kelsey, what do you say about Order 66?
For them to be able to do the prequels the way they did and have it end up the way it did in the original trilogy, Order 66 had to happen. It is what caused the world to be the way it was. It is honestly probably like the most important moment in my opinion in this Revenge of the Sith, because without it, we wouldn't have gotten to where we are. Plus, it's honestly probably like my most quoted thing. I constantly say that, or execute Order 66. So I would definitely put that scene on our list because it's the scene in that movie to me.
But Billy, what do you say about Order 66?
I mean, it's definitely, like Kelsey said, it's probably one of the most quoted things, and at least it's quoted correctly. So there's that.
Yeah. Luke, I am your father.
Yeah.
I don't know. See, the interesting thing about Star Wars and like making a list of moments is that in like a vacuum, that's an amazing moment. Like compared to like some of the other moments that are similar to it, the shocking, like paradigm shifting moments. I mean, it's a paradigm shift, so I would say yes, just because it is one of those paradigm shifting moments. It is one of those, it changes the entire movie you're watching. It changes everything. even though we knew where it was going eventually, because we've seen 4, 5, and 6, like we knew we had to get to 4, 5, and 6, so we knew we were going to get there. This got us there, and we didn't necessarily know that was the moment or that was going to be the moment. So I would agree that yes, it's an iconic moment. It's a quotable moment. It checks all the boxes on the list. So I would say yes.
Yep. And Matt, what would you have said?
Yeah, I think this is one of those things that I think is a real strength of Revenge of the Sith as films overall. It's like, we know these things have to happen to get to where we are in New Hope, but when it happens, it's still so powerful. And what I think what drives the moment even more is the moment between Cody and Obi-Wan right before the call.
Yes,
where he is, he hands about the lightsaber and they're joking. It's like, well, hopefully we'll be done with this. And then he gets the call, and it's just like, because it's implanted in their head. We learned from Clone Wars Lost Missions that there wasn't even a moment where Cody hesitated. And it's just so, and after you watch Clone Wars and you get the relationships between all these clones and their generals, it's just so heartbreaking. Like Plo Koon and Aayla Securo both shot in the backs by these people who they were dying to protect. The John Williams score is amazing. I love how Lucas intercuts Yoda feeling this, and just his cane falls and he just grabs his heart because he's just this, it's a similar thing to what Obi-Wan felt when Alderaan was destroyed. Just all these voices just crying out and then being silenced. And it's sad and it's upsetting, and it just sort of, it's where the movie shifts from where it began to where it's like, this is where we are now. We started off heroic. It's the Clone Wars. We might win. We took down Dooku. We're going to find Grievous. And now it's, no. This isn't about ending the war. Now this is about the Empire gaining its strength. And it's great. So yeah. Order 66 deserves to be on this list.
But yeah, and you can find the Clone Wars on Disney Plus. Unfortunately, they're not a sponsor of us, but Andrew, what's the next moment that you can bring up?
I'm gonna go a smaller moment. It's it's a personal moment for a character. And I think it's a little understated. It's when Cassian kills Tivik in the Ring of Catherine. Up until this point, the rebellion has always seemed like pure good. It's obvious good versus evil. The rebellion are the good guys, the Empire are the bad guys. The rebellion doesn't do shady stuff. It's like they're all Boy Scouts, Luke Skywalker, and all that. This is a moment where it's like, whoa. The rebellion does stuff like this, because you don't see anything like this in the movies up until this point. You read about in all the novels and stuff, like they have to they're saboteurs and spies and assassins. You don't ever get that stuff up in the movies until this moment. And it's like, you see Cassian, he's part of the rebellion. It's like, all right, so this is one of the good guys. All right, don't calm down. And then he shoots him he doesn't shoot him in the face. He shoots him in the back. That's something like you don't ever think rebellion is capable of. And it's just one of these things that you see that when you start connecting the pieces, like this is that kind of stuff that the rebellion has to do to get the upper hand, because they're so outnumbered. And it's just one of those things that it's a smaller moment, but the more you examine it, it's like, oh, okay, this is the stuff that has to happen. And then that the rebellion has to get their feet dirty.
So Cassian kills Tivik is on the list. Kelsey, what do you say?
I also love that scene. It's one thing I love about Star Wars, and if you really look at it, is both sides are extreme opposites, but they're both dirty. They both go to their extremes to try to win. And that is a perfect example of finally getting to see it in the movies where you're like, yeah, they do shady crap too. Both sides do it. But like somewhere in the middle is where I personally feel like things should be, but getting to see just the both extremes, it was nice to see it in a movie finally, because I have felt that way watching them all the time. So yeah. I would say yes.
But Billy, what do you say about Cassian kills Tivik?
I do like this moment a lot, because kind of like they said in 4, 5, and 6, the rebellion is very it's almost like the only difference between the rebellion and the Empire is one wears the bad guys wear all white, ironically, and then the good guys wear bright orange jumpsuits, and it's like
You're supposed to be hiding.
it's very like almost like spy versus spy. Like you're like, who's the good guy? Who's the bad guy? Oh wait, these are the good guys because we say they're the good guys. But then you see all the evil that the Empire does, but the rebellion is very vanilla in 4, 5, and 6. And then this is all like the a lot of the coloring happens in A New Hope or what am I trying to say?
Rogue One.
Rogue One. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Which makes it a very good movie. The moment is really good and I love it. It's just not necessarily my top 12.
Bet, what do you say about Kissing Kills Tivik?
I really like this moment. One of the things I love about Rogue One is it kind of, because in A New Hope we were following like Luke and Han and Leia, and they weren't the nitty gritty, like even like on Endor and stuff, you know, when they are with the troops, like we never really see the stories from the troops on the ground. Rogue One was that. And then it's a big history buff, and particularly with World War II, like this is stuff that spies did. That it was like they get their information and then you might sell me out. Bam, I gotta kill you. It's just how they did it, and I liked that. I think it was for Cassian. It was a great intro scene because it's the reason why, as the film goes on, we think he might kill Galen, because we already saw that he was willing to kill at the beginning. He would do it again. I just don't think it's a great moment in the movie. If you're doing top 12 scenes for Rogue One, 100%. But overall, Star Wars, it just, I don't think it's top 12.
But yeah. So just to recap, we've had 3 yeses. So
No, two yeses and 2 nos.
Yeah.
okay,
You're
so
the deciding
You're the decider.
You're the deciding vote, sir.
That's why I was just making sure. But yeah, yeah. I mean, I like this scene, and well, yeah, it is one of those ones that are interesting to see that the rebellion had to do some of these shady stuff. I personally think this is probably just outside of the top 12. I think it just misses out. So yeah, I'm going to say no, but yeah. Kelsey, what is your next moment?
All right, I'm gonna do this one. This is actually like my third favorite Star Wars movie. It's very controversial, but I love the throne room scene in The Last Jedi. On a cinematography standpoint, it is beautiful. Just the colors with the guards and the blue on one side, red fighting back to back. Like I actually literally cried the first time I watched it because I'm like, this is probably to me one of the most beautiful moments I've seen in Star Wars, at least recently. So I love that scene. So that's what I'm nominating.
The throne room scene is on the table. Billy, what do you say?
Man, this is tough because it's such a cool scene, and it's such like in that movie, it's like probably the best scene in the entire movie. There's just something that like, there's just something about it that I just can't put it in my top 12. I think it's because they almost like immediately diminish the moment, because you have this amazing battle and they're like, you know, Kylo and Rey are fighting off all of these like badass guards, and they finally kill all of them. And then you're like, yes, now they're going to fight each other. And then you don't get that moment. Like that moment is so, and not getting that almost like diminishes what just happened. And so like, it's just not in my top 12. Also, there's like other fight scenes that I think are better than it. It's weird because that's probably the most beautiful and the best, like maybe one of like the top 2 choreographed fight scenes in all of Star Wars, and it's amazing, and it's so well shot. It's Rian Johnson's like, that's the most Rian Johnson of the scenes in The Last Jedi, because like that he paints that whole picture, and it's so well done from start to finish. But it's just not in my top 12.
Matt, what do you think of the throne room scene?
I think it's a well shot scene. I think for me it comes down to I don't connect with the characters, so I wasn't like invested in what was happening to them. It's because of that. It just and like Billy said, there are a lot of great fights in Star Wars with a lot of great moments that I would prefer to see on this list over this one.
But yeah, I actually really love this throne room scene. It's one of those ones which is interesting, and I'm actually going to say yes, because I do think it belongs, and it's one of those ones like you didn't know after the scene, you didn't know what was going to happen. You didn't know whether Kylo Ren's going to become good or they're going to fight or what's going to happen. And because that is, I just thought it was interesting that way. But yeah, Andrew, what do you say about the throne room scene?
I have my issues with this scene. As a martial artist, I have, and there are other fights in the Star Wars universe, especially lightsaber ones, that I like better than this because choreography wise, it's very basic. And to shamelessly plug my channel, I have a whole video explaining what the problems I have with this scene. So go see it at videosbyandrew.com. But that being said, the weight of this moment, I'm going to say yes on, because this is the moment that both of them see when they touch hands through the Force, because they both see this scene as it plays out, but they interpret it two different ways. Rey thinks Kylo's going to turn. Kylo thinks Rey's going to turn. And technically, it's a beautifully shot scene. Just because I'm glad they don't chop the scene up with a bunch of speedy cuts. The way that the direction of the camera is perfect, wide sweeping shots, and it's actually the actors doing the scene. So it's a yes for me. But again, I do have my issues with the choreography itself because again, I think it's just painfully basic, and like you can see guys in the background like, oh, I'm gonna wait my turn. Wait, do I go now? Wait. Oh wait, their timing's off. Okay, wait, no, let's go now. So again, watch the video at videosmanager.com.
For sure.
But Billy, what's the next moment you're going to bring up?
So I'm going to go with another small moment, and it's actually like two moments in The Empire Strikes Back that are actually split apart by a large portion of the movie. It's when Obi-Wan Force Ghost says to Yoda that boy is our last hope, and Yoda says there is another, and we don't know who that is. And then that moment is finally paid off at the end of Empire Strikes Back when Luke calls out for Leia, and we know that Leia is now the other person that is the hope of the galaxy. And it really like completes a lot of the story. It pushes a lot of the story forward because now there's no more like quasi romance between Luke and Leia. Now she can be romanced with Han. It also makes her into a more complete character because she can also now do Force stuff. So those two moments together like are really amazing to me, and they're also like I feel like very important moments. And also when Yoda says there is another, we don't know who it is. Like, is it Han? Is it Leia? Is it someone we haven't met yet? Like, you know, these are the questions that we don't get answered right away. But I love those two moments together.
But Matt, what do you say about this?
It's tough. Because I do love this moment. I think it is great. Particularly, I do like that first Luke's trying to call out to Ben, and then he calls out to Leia. I think it's really great. I do like the little, comedy in the moment, which is we have to go back. What do you mean? And the Chewie valiantly, all right. I'm gonna say no, and if it gets on the list, I'm gonna be happy. But there's just a couple more moments in Empire that I would prefer to be on this list over it. But it is a great moment, particularly the Yoda Obi-Wan interaction, because you know what, Billy? I'm not going to reference a canon novel for your sake.
What are these novels about giant guns that shoot cannonballs? What are you guys talking about?
But yeah, I do like this moment, and I'm also going to say no to this, just because there's a few crucial moments we haven't actually brought up yet that belong on this list over this, and it's one of those ones which I like it. It's a good small wee moment, but it's just not my top 12. But Andrew, what do you say about this?
I do like the mystery that this moment brings up in Star Wars. It's like, well, who's he talking about? I thought Luke was our last hope, and in the moment that I think, because there are so many other moments in the Empire that I have to put over this one, and we don't really get a full payoff for this until Return of the Jedi, when it's confirmed, yes, it is Leia. Because up until the point where he does speak to Leia when he's calling out to her, it's like, is it more Luke that's doing that, or is it more Leia that's doing that? So it's not fully paid off until Return of the Jedi. And again, it's a great moment. It's just there's so many other things in Empire that sort of like play over it, and like it gets understated when you take the other moments into consideration.
And Kelsey, what would you have said about this moment?
I do love that moment. I love when they talk about Leia being force sensitive as well. I don't feel like it's been executed that great in the actual movies. I feel like getting to explain how strong and powerful she is with the Force in the books has been better. So to me, in the movies, it's always been kind of a letdown. So I liked that moment, but it wouldn't be top 12 for me.
Yeah. But going back to me and
Whoa! I thought I was after Billy.
Yes, you are. What's your next movie you're going to bring up?
Let's see. There's so many moments I could do when Anakin backstabs Obi-Wan, because I kind of just connect with that on a real personal basis. Malcolm. No. This is what happens. This is when you're a regular, Malcolm just forgets about you. All right. Regardless, there are a lot of fucking moments, and when you only have 5 more spaces. I hate Rinkum. Star Wars, because God, I love this so much.
Can we do 100 top moments episode?
Yeah, God, please.
Can we just play all the movies and we just
replace things?
And read the books, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, you need.
really
there are like 5 books that you have to read. There's there's just 5 books you like. It'll change your perspective on characters. But anyway, sorry.
It's fine. I wrote Star Wars.
You can send me those off. You can DM me those off.
No. There's 2. Okay, I'm gonna go with this one just because, as a prequels fan, I've loved some from the prequels to be on here. More than, but specifically it's from Phantom Menace. So this is the thing, when we were talking about moments and scenes, we weren't like, this is moment scenes. So I'm going with the Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon duel at Maul, but specifically if we're talking about moments which we've been doing, I'm going with, and the way I would describe this is, Obi-Wan dips into the dark side. This is after Qui-Gon's been killed, and Obi-Wan is just Obi-Wan and Maul. And it starts off with Obi-Wan just angry, and Maul just pacing back and forth like, all right. And then the doors open, and Obi-Wan and Maul just go at it. And, he cuts Maul's lightsaber, Maul's flipping, and then we get this amazing moment, which is they cross sabers, and this look on Obi-Wan's face. It's the closest he ever gets to the dark side. It's similar to what we see happen to Luke in Jedi. And just that's not what you're supposed to do. And that's why Obi-Wan is immediately just force pushed. But I love this moment. I love, too, that a video on IGN came out last week talking about this fight. And John Knoll talked about that there's this moment of, like, Obi-Wan, like, psyching himself up. And that wasn't in the script. That was Ewan McGregor just doing that for himself, but Lucas decided to leave it in. which I love because it is so cool. Like Obi-Wan, like just getting ready. So yeah, so I guess Obi-Wan versus Maul is what we could call this.
But yeah, Obi-Wan versus Darth Maul. This is I had a slightly extended version of this scene, which included the little bit with Qui-Gon in that as well. But,
I mean, if we want to say again, because this was the thing about scenes versus moments, I wasn't really sure. If we're allowing full scenes, then yeah, the entire lightsaber duel, I'll say. But if it's just moments, then Obi-Wan versus Maul.
Oh, I mean, ultimately, it doesn't matter because I would have said GC regardless. This is like this is a great part of, especially this part of the scene is probably the better part anyway. So it's one that just really hits you, and when you do see that look on Obi-Wan's face, it's just like, oh shit! But Andrew, what do you say about Darth Maul versus Obi-Wan?
100% yes. I mean, this is it's no doubt that this has to be in the top 12 because this is my favorite lightsaber duel out of the prequels. I mean, I have issues with the Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. We've never seen lightsabers used to this precision up until this point before. And Darth Maul's duel with the lightsaber blows everybody's mind the first time you see it. Yeah, and just this is the way I think lightsaber fights should be choreographed because it's the right amount of flash. It doesn't look like they're pulling any punches, and it's when you look at like behind the scenes stuff of Ewan McGregor and Ray Park like practicing with these metal rods, they're bent. It's like that's how hard they're going. So it's like there's no doubt in my mind.
That's the best thing is that it's all them. Like it's no some people like
all
it is just both of them just going ham.
Yeah, and you can't like not mention the moments when they're all separated and like again, Obi-Wan's sort of like he's impatient, so he's just standing there waiting. Maul's pacing back and forth like a caged animal. Qui-Gon meditating. That is what makes this fight because you see the different levels and see the separation between Sith and Jedi Padawan and a Jedi Master. This is what a Jedi Master does. He doesn't psych himself out. He doesn't hit himself on the side to get him all psyched up. He meditates and listens to the Force. So this is an absolute yes for me.
Yeah. And Kelsey, what do you say about Maul versus Obi-Wan?
Oh yeah, this was definitely on my list. That whole scene is beautiful. Exactly what you said. Like that's one of my favorite things about the scene is Obi-Wan, just how you could see his growth from that point to the original trilogy, just like how he's changed because he is still kind of impulsive and still learning. And the cinematography in the scene, the choreography, the music, just that the music makes the scene for me. I listen to it in my car because it just
it's Duel of Fates.
It's Duel of the Fates. It's like the best song ever.
So I hear Duel of Fates and Rise of Skywalker so bad.
That was our number one, I think, when we did Star Wars scenes, Malcolm, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm pretty sure it was.
So rank of proof that is the best Star Wars scene.
It is so great. So yeah, hard yes for me for sure.
Billy, what do you say? What would you have said about Maul versus Obi-Wan?
This is only my number one moment, so I think it would be on my list. In a vacuum, this is the coolest thing that Star Wars has ever done. You take a world-class a couple of world-class actors, but specifically Ewan McGregor, training to the point where he is unbelievable, and then you take Ray Park, who's
one of the
might be the best stuntman ever. Like he is amazing. Like. And the choreography, it's funny because we talked about the throne room scene, and you compare the choreography in the throne room scene versus the choreography in this scene. There's nothing even that comes close to the choreography of this scene. And it's because of Ewan McGregor and Ray Park. And Ray Park being so good allows Ewan McGregor to be his absolute best.
Absolutely. Having somebody that talented across from you.
Well, so it's like Lucas talked about with Nick Gillard is like the reason why they hired Ray Park is because Ray Park was so good coming in as a stuntman. It made Liam Neeson and Ewan McGregor train that much harder because they're like, this dude's like a world-class actor. We need to be up to his level.
Which is weird because why do you kill his character off if he's so good and like you don't use him for the next two movies? It's like
I know, right?
Biggest mistake in the history of Star Wars.
Big mistake.
Look, we all make mistakes because it's like poetry, it rhymes, you know. It's you know, it rhymes. Every stanza just kind of rhymes with the last.
Both of
I
those movies will
distract
benefit
you.
from having Darth Maul in them. Imagine it's Darth Maul fighting Yoda when Yoda comes out of in the Clone Wars. That's a much better scene. It's a better scene. It's so much better.
And actually, we've got a correction in the chat. Apparently, on our Star Wars theme, we had Binary Sunset was our number one theme.
Okay. Well, you know what? We're gonna use our own minds, and we're just gonna change that fact.
Actually,
Rewrite history a little
Yeah, we're gonna retcon that.
novels that Duel of the Fates is the number
In
one
the
Star Wars song,
in-
according to.
In the Take 3 Rankum novelization, actually, you find out that Duel of Fates was actually number one.
But anyway, it's back to me, and I'm torn between two because there's two movies that aren't represented on here yet, and I want to bring up one of them, but I'm going to bring up this one because I know if this moment doesn't make this, we'll probably have lots of riots. It's the I'm Your Father scene at the end of Empire Strikes Back. This is the moment which which had a lot of people shocked when they first saw Empire Strikes Back, if they saw it sort of before they watched the prequels. But it's just like, what? It's like just that whole moment of how the hell and all that when that twist actually happened. It's I mean, I don't have the stats for it, but it's probably up there with the most spoiled scenes that have happened. So, but Andrew, what do you say about I'm Your Father?
If this isn't number one, what are we doing with our life? Like, is there anything else but this moment? This is the moment in Star Wars, in movie cinema history, that transcends pop culture. You could not know what a Star Wars is, and you could know Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father. You just do. It's one of those things that's ingrained in the history of pop culture. And like the secrecy behind this scene is ridiculous. They went as far as telling the guy David Prowse in the thing that this is what you're saying, but Irvin Kershner goes to Mark Hamill's like, all right, this is what he's actually saying, and Mark's like, what? This is what he's saying. So to have your actor reacting to a different line when he knows what the actual line is in his head, there's no reason for this not to be at number one on the list. It's like I'm sure if it's not number one, nobody's gonna ever want to talk to us ever again about Star Wars.
Shunned.
Yeah, I'll get kicked out of the movie Tree or Schmodown.
But Kelsey, what do you say about I'm Your Father from Empire?
Oh, of course it has to make the list. Like I mean, I know why we put it off towards the end because we were trying to get those other moments in, but if it didn't make the list, like there were big riots, there'd be fires and pitchforks in the streets. We would have gotten a lot of crap for it. I was so of course it was spoiled for me before I got to see the movie, but my son didn't know about that moment when I showed it to him for the first time, and getting to see his reaction, just jaw drop, what is happening? I didn't see that happening. It's such a good moment. It's such a good scene. It has to be on the list. So yes.
Yeah. I mean, this one was another ranking we did in which there was a really obvious one there. We ran out of time. No one brought it up. But Billy, what do you say about I'm Your Father?
Yeah, Alex. Yeah, okay, yeah. Alex Damon says it's not number one, so that Andrew will get kicked out of the movie Tree Schmodown.
He just doesn't want to face me. Face me, Alex. Face me.
It's an okay moment. I mean, it's not up there with Yoda saying there's another. No, of course it's number one. Like this is Star Wars. If you ask 100 people, like, what's Star Wars about? They'll say that like Vader's Luke's father. Like that's what Star Wars is about. It's the most quotable thing. It's the most misquoted thing ever. And yet people can misquote it and still everyone knows what they're talking about. Like it's very rarely in movie history, like kind of like what Andrew said, like does something happen that transcends pop culture that you literally don't even have to have seen. There are people who haven't seen Star Wars that if you said Luke, I'm your father, they know that it's from Star Wars. It's like I'll be back from the Terminator.
Yeah.
It's Play It Again, Sam from Casablanca. It's like, it's
Another misquoted line.
True.
Another misquoted one.
I just misquoted it. But yeah, so it's number one.
But Matt, what would you have said about this moment?
I'll make it just short and simple. Only a couple of people would get this. This is the equivalent to my thoughts on the Imperial March from the Star Wars themes, Rackham, and I'll leave it at that. Only Malcolm will get it. So let's just move on. I have to go back into the logs to figure that out.
But Andrew, it's back to you. What's the next moment you're going to bring up?
Okay, so I'm going to go with probably my number 2. My second favorite movie in all of Star Wars. Fight me if you want. The Force Awakens. It's Rey pulling the legacy lightsaber out of the snow. This is the moment of the movie. This is the moment. I remember like almost jumping out of my seat when this happens, because even Mark Hamill says like, "Oh, that I thought I was going to come in this moment in the movie." If Luke comes back in this moment, it cheapens the rest of the movie, because he's the reason they're going for it. So if he comes back, it cheapens the rest of the movie. So, and it's only set up by the interrogation scene with Rey and Kylo when we first see her starting to use her Force abilities, and this is her Force abilities coming and saving her, and her and this is the moment, and I have a video about this again on my channel, videosbyandrew.com, where this is her accepting her call to action. This is before, when we see her on Takudana, she runs away from the saber. I don't want any part of this. This is her moment saying, I accept this. This is my purpose. And she grabs a lightsaber, ignites it, and she clashes with Kylo Ren. So that I absolutely have to have this on the list.
But Kelsey, what do you say about Rey getting the saber?
That is also my favorite scene from that movie. It would be a tragedy if it didn't make this list, because it's just not only because just what it means, watch it, but also like it was very beautiful. This whole scene with the snow, just it coming into your hand, just like the music swell, like it was just, it was beautiful and just meant so much, especially since a girl getting to wield a lightsaber and just like what that meant to me and my daughter.
A title character getting to wield a lightsaber.
Exactly.
Female
title character. It was just, it meant a lot. So yeah, absolutely on the list.
Billy, what do you say about Rey summoning Luke's lightsaber?
I was going to say lots of female lightsaber wielders got cut down by Order 66.
I meant title characters. What else?
Yeah.
This is, I really like, this is the scene that makes that whole movie. Because honestly, for me, the movie kind of like, without that scene, that movie's not good to me. Like, that is the scene that like puts everything together. It pays off all of everything that's been going on in the movie for the whole, however long we were watching that movie. It sets up the entire new trilogy. Now we know where we are, where we stand, what we're getting into. It's iconic. It's important. Man, there's like 3 spots left. Is this like, can I think of 3 other scenes in Star Wars that are like better than this?
I have 2.
I'd say I have 2 other ones that I for sure would want to see on the list. I'm gonna say yes to this. That this again checks off all the boxes that are, and it's the most Star Wars scene of the first 2 movies. Like, that is the Star Wars movie.
It's good triumphing over evil.
Yeah, and it's someone doubting themselves and then accepting their fate, kind of. She accepts her fate, which is a big part of Star Wars, is accepting your fate. You're accepting your place in the Force, in the universe. And that's her moment. It's a powerful moment. It's impactful. I'd say yes.
Yeah. And that does make the list. Matt, what would you have said?
I think if it was brought up earlier, I might have been convinced to say yes, but I just think there are just a couple more moments. It's a really great moment in the movie, and for the character Rey. I think it's just, I'm happy it's on the list, 100%. But I think I just would have said no, just because there's a couple more moments that just speak to me more than that one.
And yeah, I would have said yes without a doubt in this. This moment was I loved, because it's one of those ones in which when you see the lightsaber move, you don't know who's summoning it. You think that maybe Luke's coming back. You think it's or you think it's sort of Finn coming to the rescue, or you think it's even Kylo himself. But it's one of those moments in which was just incredible to see Rey with the lightsaber, and I know there's a lot of complaints about that she shouldn't be that powerful, all that stuff. I mean,
answer on Thursday.
I mean, it's one of those ones like, she's. It's one of those. Yeah, I don't know what I'm saying anymore, but Billy, what's the next moment you're going to bring up? We've only got 2 spots left.
Oh God, we only have 2.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, there's 2 left.
God.
For me, it's Han saving Luke at the beginning of A New Hope. Like he comes back. It completes Han's story arc of him becoming a hero. It shows their dynamic. It also kind of it's a perfect moment because it's not like Luke isn't powerful enough or good enough yet to be the hero, so he hasn't necessarily deserved to just be the hero on his own. So having Han come in and knock off Vader so that Luke can hit the the
exhaust port.
Yeah. That's one of the best moments in all of Star Wars. It's so great. Han's line of saying you're all clear, kid. Like,
now let's go and go home.
I just love that moment. That's that's probably top 3 for me.
But Han saving Luke at the beginning of the Death Star battle. But Matt, what do you say?
At the end, you said.
Yeah, at the end.
If you saved him at the beginning,
that's a different movie.
Much shorter sequence.
They changed it in the canon novel, so yeah.
Yeah, this is gonna have to get a hell yes from me. That entire just the first Wedge gets sort of clipped, and Luke tells him to fly off, and then it's just Luke and Biggs, and then Biggs gets killed. And then it's just Luke and Vader, he's evading him. And, Vader's like the Force strong with this one. But then he locks onto him and I have you now. And then, whoo, look out, boom. And then just, you're all clear, kid. Now let's blow this thing, go home. And just that entire sequence, just you have the turning off of the console and just, Luke, what happened? To your targeting system. Nothing. I'm all right. Just that entire and the John Williams again, just the music of just the dun dun, dun, dun. You're just like, holy crap, what's gonna happen here? And then Luke's safe, and then it's Han, and we're like, yes, he's the hero we all knew he was. He's not that dick who only cares about money. And then just firing, and it goes in, and boom. Yeah, fuck, that entire thing is amazing. So yeah, it's gotta get a yes.
Yeah, this is going to be a yes for me too. I really love the scene. It's just one of those ones in which, and watching New Hope, just sort of not knowing what was going to happen. I remember when I first watched this, I was worried that they were going to kill off Luke in the first movie, and it's and so to see sort of Han come in and say, they got a big cheer out of me when I first saw it. But Andrew, what do you say about Han saving Luke?
I would say yes. I mean, because if this doesn't happen, Luke doesn't blow up the Death Star. I mean, because he was moments away from getting shot down by Darth Vader. So, and again, it proves that Han is a hero, and it's his hero moment, and it's why he gets the medal, and also Chewie in the comic book. Yeah, so I mean, it's already everything that about the scene that needs to be said has been said. So it's a yes.
And Kelsey, what do you say about Han saves Luke?
I will have said yes. My next suggestion was going to be just moments after when Luke takes off the targeting software and blows up the Death Star. But you're right, it couldn't have happened without the scene with Han. So I kind of like link those all together in my head, and that whole sequence is it's amazing. So I
think we can just like lump that into
lump that together.
Yeah, just lump it. Yeah.
But anyway, Matt, we go back to you. Can you fill up the last spot?
I hope so with this moment.
Pressure's on.
This moment is in the movie, it's amazing, and then the character's journey, it's amazing. I'm going with I Am a Jedi. This is Luke has had his darkest moment. He's taken down his father, and he now has him at the point to where he can kill him. The Emperor is, telling him to do it, kill him, and then he looks at the missing robotic hand of Vader. And he looks at his hand and realizes that physically and mentally he is becoming his father. As Obi-Wan says in Revenge of the Sith, you're becoming the very thing you swore to destroy. And he turns off the lightsaber and tosses it and proclaims to the Emperor, I am a Jedi, like my father before me. So be it, Jedi. Like, this is where Luke makes his heroic stand. He's not going to kill his father. He's not going to fight the Emperor. He's going to do what a Jedi does, what Obi-Wan did in A New Hope, when Obi-Wan turned off, held up his lightsaber and allowed Vader to kill him. Doing it peacefully, doing it, and that's what changes Vader. And I think just that moment of Luke, and I love just Mark Hamill's acting in it, of the sort of puffing of the chest when he says it, but then there's this great sigh of breath of, I know what's coming next, and I'm scared, but I can't let the Emperor know I'm scared. So yeah, I Am a Jedi is my choice.
You really don't make this much easy, do you, Matt? I like this moment. It's tough because there's a few others I want to bring up, and I know if this gets on, there won't be any room left. But I'm actually going to give it a slight no. I mean, I'm not going to be upset if it makes the list, but there's a couple that I think should be on over this. But yeah, Andrew, what do you say about the end of Return of the Jedi?
I do agree. This is a moment where Luke does what a Jedi is meant to do. The only reason I'm saying no is because I have one other moment that I want to get on this list. And because, again, I'm looking at the list right now. It's like, God, why didn't we have 15 or 20? Because there's just so many of them. So again, I do love the moment. I do love that it's Luke doing what needs to be done to save himself and his father and become the Jedi he's supposed to be. But there's just one of the moments I'm hoping somebody's going to mention that will make it on the list.
But Kelsey, what do you say about this moment?
I feel similarly, where there's a moment that I am hoping makes the list, that I love this moment so much, but I like this other moment more, and I would be heartbroken if it didn't make the list. So I am going to say no.
And Billy, what do you say?
Y'all are haters. This moment's amazing. This moment makes this is the moment of Star Wars. It's the culmination of the 4, 5, and 6. It's the Luke finally accepting his place in the Force. He is a Jedi. He is not a Sith. It is also the redemption of it leads to the redemption of his father. His father then saves him, redeeming himself. Like, how is this not on the top 12?
I'm with you, Billy. I am shocked.
Y'all better
if we could replace one of these other moments, then
can we
yeah.
take the phone and put this?
I'm gonna say right now.
Or how about the
We say
binary
no.
sunset?
Yeah, I would take this over Binary Sons, because I think the reason, since this was mentioned so late, if this was mentioned earlier, I would put it in. But since we mentioned Binary Sons,
nutshell.
yeah.
How about this? If we get through the next 3 moments of Malcolm Andrew, and Kelsey, and we don't say yes to them, I'm bringing this moment back.
That's fair.
We are putting it in the
That's
12.
fair. That's fair.
Fair
That's
enough.
fair.
Fuck it.
That's fair.
I don't think anyone's ever thought about doing that.
No,
Yeah,
I don't
'cause
think
I
What
anyone
a solid technique, Billy.
Yeah, if you mentioned this earlier,
Shit.
it would be on my list, but it's just we have one spot left.
I think that needs to be the new tagline of Rank 'em, Malcolm. If you brought it up earlier, I would have said
It's
yes.
wrong.
Make a t-shirt out of it.
We all didn't want to be the
T-shirt.
one to just steal the biggest moments right away when we should have just been stealing the biggest moments right away.
But anyway, I'm going to make it difficult.
Yeah,
I'm-
Malcolm. Can't wait to hear your choice.
I'm going to go back to Avenge of the Sith. I'm going to go for the big battle between Anakin and Obi-Wan at the end, which shows the transfer, which sort of culminates in Anakin becoming Darth Vader. But this whole battle has been building up throughout the prequels and sort of finally comes to a head here. And this battle is everything I could have hoped for and more. Just for the lines like I've got the higher ground, all that, but I know I messed all that up. But anyway, but Andrew, what do you say about Andrew versus Obi-Wan? Anakin versus Obi-Wan.
Did I quite?
Andrew
What?
versus Obi-Wan.
Am I canon now? Am I canon?
Oh, I see what Malcolm's trying to do there. Tried to just sweeten the pot, man. All right.
I'm gonna say no, and not because we have one more spot, because this fight is actually lower on my list out of all the lightsaber battles. It's one of my least favorite ones because it is too flashy. It doesn't. I don't feel the shots connecting, because when you compare it to Maul versus Obi-Wan, it's like it's clearly like Luke's going faster and more intense on the saber fights, please. I just want it faster and more intense. So yeah, I'm just gonna say no, just not to keep. But if you want to hear my thoughts more about it, go on my YouTube channel and watch my lightsaber ranking video fight.
Kelsey, what do you say about Anakin versus Obi-Wan?
I love what this battle means in the movie. I also do not actually like the battle itself very much. It's hard to watch. It's so bright with the lava and the jumping. You can't even like really see what's happening very much. And so, I mean, I love the music in that scene, but it's a hard to follow visually battle between those two people. So I've never ranked it very high with mine. So I would say no.
Billy, what do you say about Anakin versus Obi-Wan?
This is one of those where it's again, because we knew where it was going. We knew Anakin had to become Darth Vader, and it honestly was like a disappointment for me. It was like, really, this is how he becomes Darth Vader? This is it? So it's a great scene. Like, again, it's kind of like the throne room scene. It's like, it's very visual and not necessarily well shot, but it's memorable, and it has all those, you were the chosen one, and like, all that. But it's all icing and no cake for me.
Mm. That is a very good analogy.
That's a very good
description of this fight for me.
Matt, what would you have said?
I would have said this thing is a gigantically delicious cake with a lot of Greek frosting on top of it. That's what I would say. And to plug again, you can hear my thoughts about this fight this Friday on Second Look, Revenge of the Sith, where I go more depth about how this scene is great.
I need a Star Wars show to plug. I feel left out.
Okay. My show is not actually just totally Star Wars related.
I know.
It's the next episode. But regardless, I do actually have a Star Wars show to plug at the end of this. Billy knows what we're talking about. But this scene, I love. You can talk about your overly flashy, but like, that's a lot of Star Wars scenes, a lot of it. And again, I think it might be from a different generation. The prequels were my Star Wars. This was the fight that it all led to, and I loved it from the day I saw it to when I've been watching it recently for working on the episode. I like the emotion. I love the music. I actually really like the visuals and the choreography. So I probably would have said no, just because I really wanted to get back to Billy so he could bring up what I just brought up. But I love the hell out of this. So, yeah.
But Andrew, what's the next moment you could bring up?
Okay, so I had to cut a lot of because I had like 30 moments that I just rattled off on my
Shocking.
printed out. I love
You can
Star
see all those moments on his.
No, yeah. So
Show.
I narrowed it down to this moment from Rogue One, very end of Rogue One. It's the scene with Darth Vader, and he's trying to get the plans back from the rebels, and this is one of the moments. Like that whole third act of Rogue One is just. Oh, it's so good because I was lukewarm on the movie up until the third act. The third act is what makes it for me, and the more I watch Rogue One, the better I like it, and the more the nuances I pick up on, the more I appreciate. But it was this scene that was just like it was one of those. My wife is sitting next to me. She loves watching the movies with me because I'm just slapping her. I'm like, it's Vader, it's Vader, it's Vader. And it's like this is the Vader that we've never got to see up until on the big screen. Up and maybe in Empire Strikes Back when he's like going like ape shit on Luke and like in Cloud City, but this is the Vader that we wanted to see, like just that raw monster. Just like it doesn't matter what you do, you can shoot like laser bolts on him, he's gonna throw them right back at you. So that I think this is the moment that I was hoping somebody would mention.
Kelsey, what do you say about Darth Vader at the end of Rogue One?
This was going to be my next one if you hadn't said it. I finally getting to see Vader do what we have heard that he can do. Oh, and it kind of was so unexpected too. Like I didn't expect to see it, and suddenly just see the red glow and just him destroy people. It was just I love Rogue One. It is my favorite moment in Rogue One. I will literally rewind it and just rewatch that part. It's hard, yes. I love that scene.
Billy, what do you say about Darth Vader at the end of Rogue One?
Oh man, it's a great moment, like without a doubt, and it's weird because it oddly like almost doesn't fit the movie, just because everything up till that point we were like, I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know what's going to happen next. Like I know it's going to end badly, but I don't know how it's going to end badly. And then the end is that, and you're like, okay, well I know where this goes. It goes right into A New Hope, which they had to connect it to A New Hope, I guess. So it just felt tonally so different. But as a moment, it's amazing. But is it better than I'm a Jedi? That's what I have to think about. Oh, I'm gonna say
my
no.
opinion.
No, it's not better than I'm a Jedi.
Right, of course.
Matt, what do you say about the Darth Vader take from Rogue One?
I think it's a really great scene. In out of Rogue One, it's amazing. But I'm gonna say no because there's another moment from the end of the movie that I actually prefer over this one.
That's not gonna be on the list.
So it's all down to me, and yeah, there's no way I can say no to this. It's yes to Darth Vader take from Rogue One.
I knew you were gonna do it, Malcolm. I knew it. I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna fly to New Zealand, and I'm gonna take your Lord of the Rings shit, and I'm gonna rip it up and
Can't find any comment holes.
But I mean, it's just one of those ones like, it just shows sort of Darth Vader sort of it is prime, and just one of those ones where
this is my issue with the scene. He's in his prime, and then a couple of hours later, he's just like slowly, like, was he just being nice to Obi-Wan? Because he was like, "Oh, I see you're old. I don't really want to like kick your ass really fast. So I'll play
He aged
fair."
real quick. I mean, he went downhill fast.
What happened?
The cybernetics were no longer working at peak capacity after that.
Hey, did he run out of oil or something? Darth wasn't there to like give him a hit or something.
But yeah, but it's just one of those ones like visually just to see that. So I think that's what I've been hearing a lot of people. There's a lot of people did have issue with the fact that with that continuity, but just see sort of Darth Vader just running through all these rebels and just all that. Just it was just a cool scene to watch. And yeah,
But with that, we've got our 12. Just to recap what made the list, we've got the opening shot from A New Hope, got Luke in Jabba's palace, got the Force Ghost Shadow appearing, Destruction at Alderaan, got Binary Sunset, got Order 66, the throne room scene, Darth Maul versus Obi-Wan, I'm Your Father, Rey summoning Luke's lightsaber and Han saving Luke, and Darth Vader attack. So how we rank this is if you've got a whiteboard handy, bit of paper, or if you don't, I'll just get you to say it.
I'm not even listening to you anymore, Malcolm. Just know that for the rest of this. I'm muting you in my head.
All right, practice board. Practice board for the Schmodown. Got it.
But we
I was
down
not notified that I would need office supplies.
But we just write down what we think should be at number 12.
Oh, number 12?
Yeah, we go 12 to 1. So what you want at number 12, you put down.
And I can't write I am a Jedi, right? That's not on the list.
No, you can't, because that should have been number 2 or 1.
We'll just do what we did with
Have you guys even seen Star Wars? I know you read all the books.
Was that scene skipped in the novelization of a Jedi?
We'll just do that what Chris Clark did for the Schmodown competitors when he put Robert My Brunette at number 0. So
It's like, you should know what you were getting into here. I have a Join the Dark Side shirt on.
But Matt, what do you have as number 12?
I have the front room scene.
Andrew, what do you have for number 12?
I got Binary Sunset.
Kelsey?
Binary Sunset.
Billy?
Binary Sunset.
Great.
Slash I am a Jedi.
Whatever.
All right. Number 11?
Yep. Andrew, what do you have for 11?
Han saves Luke.
Kelsey?
I have Luke in Jabba's palace.
Billy?
Force Ghost Yoda.
Max?
Throne room.
I also put the throne room scene.
All right.
So throne room scene is going to be 11.
I had throne room and then I crossed it off. Also, clearly, Kelsey and Andrew did not watch the same movies that I watched. Han saves Luke and Luke in Jabba's palace at number 11.
I'm with you, Billy.
Hey man,
I know what I like in Star Wars, and that's just lower on the list.
It's not dark enough. There's
It's not dark enough.
not enough death. Not enough
Not
destruction.
enough death and
No,
destruction.
Sorry, just a question. Is your most hated scene in Raiders when they open the ark and like the Nazis are all like killed? You're like, fuck you, Indy. Open your eyes. Open your eyes, Marianne.
Kelsey, what do you have?
I still have Luke in Jabba's palace.
Billy?
Force Ghost Yoda.
Matt?
Force Ghost Yoda. Yes.
Andrew?
Luke in Jabba's palace.
As much as it is a cool scene, I actually put the opening scene from New Hope.
So wait,
So it's a tie.
Well,
Two
now
votes
Malcolm
for-
has to choose.
Yeah.
Which
Malcolm,
one.
you got to choose.
2-way tie.
No, Andrew put Han saves Luke, and
No.
there's
No,
Luke.
No,
he
he
put,
put-
he
But,
put
Luke
Luke
in Jabba's palace.
He put Luke in Jabba's palace, and me and Billy put Force Ghost Yoda. So you got to pick between those.
Oh right. Sorry, I thought it's still. But anyway, I'm going to go with Force Ghost Yoda.
Well picked.
Well played. Well played.
Mm-hmm.
What do I do next?
So
Hey,
we
my
have,
number 2 scene is at 12. You get
so
Alright.
12 is what? I'm sorry. I'm
12
trying
was
to-
Binary
Binary
Sunset.
Sunset.
Sun, and 11 was
Throne Room, and 10 is Force Ghost Yoda.
Force Ghost Yoda. Okay.
So what we still have is the opening shot, Luke in Jabba's palace, destruction of Alderaan, Order 66, Maul versus Obi-Wan, I'm your father, Rey with the lightsaber, and Han saves Luke, and Vader attack.
Sorry, I was doing it wrong. So you-
It's all good.
Billy, what do you have for 9?
I put Luke in Jabba's palace.
Matt,
I put the opening shot.
Andrew,
Luke and Jabba's palace. I changed my mind last
Kelsey?
second.
Luke and Jabba's palace.
I've got opening shot, but Luke and Jabba's palace is going to be 9.
Oh wow! I wrote opening shot and then I crossed it out. What was I thinking?
I
He's
don't
gaining
know.
the dark side.
You were my brother, Billy.
chose the
I
right
loved
choice.
you. You were meant to
It's higher
select
ground.
the scene, not cross it off.
He knows who to side with.
Bunch of
Yep.
nerds reading books.
No,
Sit
No,
on the side. I don't read the books anymore.
no, Kelsey's using a Jedi mind tricks.
No, is that
I'm trying
euphemism?
my hardest. Oh, I don't know.
This is actually tough.
I know. I'm. It's painful to choose.
Kelsey, what do you have?
I have Han saves Luke.
Billy,
Opening shot.
Matt,
Ah, damn it. Wait, nah, I still wrote the chat.
Andrew.
Han saves
Luke.
Yeah, I stupidly changed my board to Death Star Attack, which means it's a tie, but I'm going to go opening shot.
I've never rage quit a podcast before. That was a close one.
Oh, don't worry, Billy. I've done it. I've walked away from Rankin several times. Trust me. I've done it. I might do it again at some point.
But yet we keep dragging you back in.
Every time I think I'm out, they pull me back.
But Andrew, what do you have for 7?
Han saves Luke again.
Kelsey,
Han saves Luke.
Matt,
Destruction of Alderaan.
Billy,
Ray summoning Luke's lightsaber.
I've got Death Star Attack, but Han saves Luke is going to be 7.
Wait, what's Death Star attack?
That's he kind of just put that down.
No,
like Trent
Vader
Reznor
attack
said.
is what I meant.
Oh,
I know.
Vader attack. Oh, okay.
I was like, what is
Death Star?
Death Star? Is that
I
Alderaan?
don't know. I wrote down my bit
The
of
only
paper.
Death Star attack on the list is Alderaan.
What? Damn it, Malcolm. Hey guys, look, Malcolm's just trying to subvert our expectations.
So wait, what?
No,
That was
damn,
I'm
that's just
saying
Finland.
Luke went there.
Yeah, because Andrew and Kelsey both had it, and then the three of us
Had
didn't
something
have any
different.
commonality. It got on. Yeah. rules.
I don't like what's happening here.
As long as you get number one right.
Yeah. As long as
Well,
you're
there's
not
no right.
That's it. I'm just gonna keep writing that until it's.
Billy, you don't have to change yours. You can keep it if you want something low. Just keep it until it gets high. Believe me, I've gone full rankums, like only changing my board at the very end.
And I mean, you got Daredevil.
I
to
got
number
Daredevil
3.
at number 3. I don't think I changed when we did superhero portrayals. I don't think I changed my board for the entire time.
But Billy, what do you have for 6?
Ray summoning the lightsaber.
And I've edited my board to what it should be as Vader attack. Matt,
Ray summoning the lightsaber.
Andrew,
Alderaan destruction.
Kelsey.
I have Order 66.
Oh, it's Ray summoning the lightsaber there. Oh. That's what
Number
you get for
6.
putting
It kills
Han
me.
saving Luke
That
that
kills me.
low.
Kills me.
Well, Han saves Luke, being at 7 killed me and Billy, so it's tit for tat. It's an eye for an eye on Rankum.
Your precious moment is gone. I gotta think now. What do I want to get rid of?
Matt, what do you have for 5?
Destruction of Alderaan.
Andrew,
Destruction of Alderaan.
Kelsey,
Order 66.
Billy.
Darth Vader attack.
I changed mine to Order 66.
Oh my gosh.
So Billy, Order 66 or Destruction of Alderaan?
Man, this is like. I'm gonna go Order 66. I really love the Destruction of Alderaan.
But the one thing I do love about this list is we actually managed to get moments from all eras of Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
I almost was gonna choose. I love the fight between Han and Chewie and Solo, but I think I'm the only one. When they're in the-
Wouldn't be
in
the
the
moment I
prison.
would choose from that movie, but
I actually like Alden Ehrenreich speaking Shriwook. I might be the only one on that one. I thought it was okay. That's fine.
I also like anything Donald Glover does. So
Yeah. I mean, one moment I was going to bring up that I know that
well,
Matt
so we-
was.
oh, what?
One moment I was going to bring up that I knew Matt wasn't going to like was the Kylo Ren killing Han.
That was
That
on
was
my
on
list.
my
too.
list.
That was on my list, but there's just 12 spots, so.
But Andrew, what do you have?
why do y'all hate Han so much? Y'all some Han haters.
Destruction of
Matt
Alderaan.
Williams is a better kid.
Kelsey,
Vader attacks.
Billy,
Vader attacks.
Vader attacks. Matt,
Destruction of Alderaan.
So what do we have left? We have I'm Your Father.
Maul versus Maul versus Obi-Wan and Destruction of Alderaan.
So we have 3 left?
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh well, then this is easy.
This better be unanimous.
It probably
Kelsey,
won't
what do you have for 3?
Destruction of Alderaan.
Billy?
I have I'm Your Father. No, I have Destruction of Alderaan.
I've got Destruction of Alderaan. Max?
Destruction of Alderaan.
Destruction of Alderaan.
This is gonna be rough for me to write this.
This is actually really easy for me. Oh well, Malcolm. Yeah, now you got to explain to the newbies
Yeah.
that you vote for your number 1, not your number 2. You vote
Oh, okay,
for
so
number
you write down
1.
your number 1?
Yeah, you vote
Yeah.
for your number 1.
That would have been.
That would have been terrible if I...
After all that build-up of what would happen if it's not number 1.
But Matt, what is your number 1?
Obi-Wan versus Darth Maul.
Andrew?
Number 1?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I am your father.
Kelsey?
Father, I am your father.
Billy?
I said it before. It's my favorite moment in all of Star Wars. It's Obi-Wan versus Darth Maul.
But
You guys don't want to see me on the Schmodown anymore. That's what it is.
Nothing to do with that.
What was the moment that was the highest on your list that didn't make it? That's an interesting question. I think.
Oh, I can go through all the moments that.
So, like, my number
had-
1?
like your moment that didn't make it. That was
Oh,
your like
okay,
your
okay.
highest
Malcolm, we
ranked
can
moment.
do. I think now that we could do honorable mentions. We normally do.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. So, who wants
Um,
to start with our honorable mentions? Well, Malcolm writes out the last 2.
yeah.
Well, obviously, the number 1 honorable mention should be "I'm a Jedi," and
Yeah.
Well,
Fair
yeah.
enough.
So I had moments. The ones that I didn't get to bring up were from Rogue One. Your father would be proud of you. The last moment between Cassian and Jin. Just think it's a really beautiful moment of friends. Han shoots at Vader in Empire. It's a
Ooh, yeah.
badass moment with the doors
Yeah.
open, Chewie
Wow.
growls, and Han pulls the blaster. The personal-
I love you. I know. How did that not make the list?
yeah, that's another one.
Oh, God. How did we not think of that one? Oh, my
I know.
God.
I didn't think of that either.
Throw everything away.
For me, another one, this is a real personal one, is the Geonosis Arena battle. I just love that scene. Burning Homestead from A New Hope. Qui-Gon's funeral from Phantom Menace. Luke versus Vader from Empire, which I guess I'm Your Father falls into. And then my number 1, that I didn't get to bring up, my favorite scene of all time in any movie, the cave scene from Empire. So,
But yeah, for me, I had Kylo Ren killing Han Solo on mine. I'd Help Me Obi-Wan from New Hope. I think-
Oh, my God. So dumb. Why? List. Oh, my God.
We're
So
focused
many.
so much.
There's so many moments in
Star
Star Wars.
Wars.
There's so many
So
moments in Star
many.
Wars.
We'd focused so much on I'm Your Father, we forgot about the other one.
The one that hooks Luke into the adventure.
the one that
Yeah.
gets recorded correctly.
Yeah, we need to make like a top 45, top 50 moments.
Seriously.
But I also had the cave scene from Empire Strikes Back where Luke sees himself as Vader. I had the small comedic moment of we're all fine here now.
How are you?
From A New Hope.
Conversation anyway.
I had the Leia in space scene from The Last Jedi. One that I was
I
surprised.
like that. That scene is severely underrated.
I agree.
I really like that scene.
I had
we have said I'm Mary Poppins, y'all.
I have problems with how it looks visually,
Yeah.
but what it is, I
It's
love
it's
that.
Leia using the Force actively for the very first time. I
I
mean,
know
it's a very underrated
I
moment.
agree.
But yeah, I had a lot more. But the other ones I had that I'm going to sort of bring up is Rey finding Luke at the end of The Force Awakens.
That's a good one too.
Even though it did culminate in throwing the lightsaber in the sequel, but it's still a fun scene. But it also one that I'm surprised didn't get mentioned is the pod race scene.
Yeah, no, that's one of my favorites too. Yeah.
No,
But
technically, it's amazing.
yeah, but Andrew, what
So I'm just gonna try to rattle them off as quick as I can. So the ones that weren't mentioned for me was Yoda using the lightsaber first time. Squadron leaders reported in the Battle of Scarif. I remember that being really like, I know it's a little bit fan servicey, but I like that. Maul being revealed at the end of Solo, a Star Wars story. Anakin donning the Darth Vader mask for the very first time. Yoda lifting the Luke's X-wing out of the Dagobah swamp. Holdo sending the Raddus into the Supremacy in hyperspace. Luke's force projection at the end of the Last Jedi. Rey resisting Kylo Ren in the interrogation scene. Rey's force vision from the Force Awakens, and Anakin leaving his mom on Tatooine in the Phantom Menace.
Kelsey.
Okay, so a few that we didn't talk about, but I love the R2-D2 and Luke scene in the Millennium Falcon, the conversation that they have.
That's a good one.
I like that scene. Han and Kylo, when Kylo kills him, I love that scene. When you see Starkiller Base work for the first time and the destruction of all those planets, yeah, I like that part.
Arguably, that's a little bit more effective than Alderaan being destroyed because you get more. You
True.
see people on the planets. It's a little bit more effective, but just in the grand scheme of things, it's
true.
Yeah.
And then the death of Jyn and Cassian at the end of Rogue One. It's beautiful and just that's good scene. Yeah, that's what I had.
What honorables did you
have? The Battle of Hoth is like probably the thing that made me love Star Wars in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Like that whole sequence is just amazing.
Best video game like scene to play out of anything.
Oh yeah. I always love all the little scenes with like Han and Leia. My favorite one I think is when they're on the battle for Endor and she has the gun like hidden there and just the look they look at each other and it's like and like his look at her like that's like I think my favorite moment between the two of them. Like anytime Lando and we talked about it a little bit, but anytime Lando and Chewie interact with each other anywhere is amazing. I think that's about it.
I just can I say just like when the Falcon doesn't go into hyperspace and Lando's like it's not my fault and Chewie just gets like God damn it, Lando.
It's not my fault.
But I love it because it's a play off of the earlier when Han it doesn't go into hyperspace for Han and it's like
Chewie, I gotta do everything myself. God damn it, these guys don't know what they're doing.
But yeah, that brings us to the end of another episode of Rankum. Just to recap our top 12. At 12, we've got Binary Sunset from Revenge of the Sith. We've got the throne room scene from The Last Jedi. We've got Force Ghost Yoda from The Last Jedi. We've got Luke in Jabba's palace at 9. Got the opening shot from A New Hope at 8. Got Han saves Luke at 7. We've got Rey summons the lightsaber at The Force Awakens. Got Order 66, Revenge of the Sith. We've got Darth Vader attack at 4.
Sure wrote Death Star attack, Malcolm, just for fun.
we've got the real Death Star attack of Destruction of Alderaan at 3. Darth Maul versus Obi-Wan at 2. And I'm Your Father at number 1, as it should be. Saving ourselves from being crucified from Harloff and many other people.
I will say when I was auditioning for the Schmodown, I got a question about where is Han Solo from, and he literally said, "If you get this wrong, I'm hanging up on you." I was like, oh. Okay.
My favorite Star Wars moment ever is when John Roca couldn't remember what Bespin.
But anyway, there's a poll up on our Tape Free Facebook page for what you want the next episode of Rankum to be. Some interesting topics there, like musicals, movies based on books, a whole bunch of things. But Andrew, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Drew Dimalanta, DIMALANTA. You can follow me. You can subscribe to me on YouTube by going to videosbyandrew.com. And tomorrow, we're launching a whole Schmodown podcast called Beyond the Schmodown. It's going to be on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, Spotify. Follow us on Anchor. It'll also appear on my YouTube channel. So Very first episode, we're crazy because we have to talk about spectacular 5 matches, 5 rounds each. So we went over like an hour. Me and my wife, Demi. So afternoon fans know her. We're both big, obviously big Schmodown fans. So those will be dropping every Monday. So look out for that.
Kelsey, we can people find you online.
You can find me at KelseyKins90 on Twitter and Instagram. I am also on the Call to Action podcast. You can check us out. We have a lot of different shows. There's a Ladies Night episode coming out that's going to be a lot of fun the week of Christmas. And I'm also on a D&D campaign called Transveil, and it's awesome. And I am with that gentleman over there, and it's a lot of fun, so you should check it out. Not you, Billy.
Well, actually,
You
from
should
my
join us.
screen, you pointed to Billy, which is
I'm
funny.
pointing in the corner. Yeah. Billy, I'm signed you up. I didn't tell you, but you're going to be a D&D.
Billy, we can people find you
I don't
online.
have nearly enough Mountain Dew Code Red to play D&D anymore.
Holy Billy, this is why we're brothers.
That was my drink in high school, so it was like my go-to.
You can find me at Mr. Billy Belford. You can also find me weekdays on SEN Live with the Schmobot, where I just say random things, usually against Ben Bateman. You know, and I'm also Action Industries Facebook page. So if you are interacting with Action Industries on Facebook, it's probably me.
So if you thought you were talking to Ben and Drew, you were wrong. It's actually
Not that guy.
The worst people say deeply personal things that I think they only want Ben and Drew to know. Like, you told me. Oh.
Bet we can people find you online.
You guys, as always, can find me at Kearns_Matthew on Twitter. Don't try to add me on Instagram or Facebook. I will not accept your request. You can also find me on YouTube at MattMovies611. Be on the lookout next year. I got some really cool videos coming out. You can also find me, of course, right here as the host of Second Look. Episode will be dropping this Friday on Revenge of the Sith. Really excited. It's coming together. And please check out the episode that went up last month on Attack of the Clones, because it's Star Wars time. You can also, maybe next year, depending on when we want to upload an episode, you can find me and Billy as members of the Sporadic Council. It is a Star Wars podcast. 4 friends talk about Star Wars whenever the hell we get time to talk about Star Wars.
We're going to talk a lot about how Han saved Luke, the greatest moment in Star Wars history.
That might just be the first episode, is just talking about I Am a Jedi and Han saves Luke.
Yes.
Richard and Paul would have so agreed with us on that.
Sadly, Paul couldn't make it. I did ask him, but he was hosting something else. But yeah, you can find me on Take 3 hosting Rankin every Sunday. You can find me posting up the polls for the Bracketeers each week. This week is holiday. This month is holiday movies with a lot of fun. And January's is going to be Schmodown Personalities bracket, which is going to be real interesting to see what happens there. You can also and over the time there may be a summit at some stage. I don't know, but in the meantime, over the break between the Schmodowns, there will be a few various Schmodown top 10s that we're doing for the Reactors Summit on the matches, personalities, good players, teams, and moments of this year in the Schmodown. So those are going to be a lot of fun. And you can find me over on Full Metal hosting Full Metal random matches and doing stuff over there too. But until next week, keep listing shit.
Can I say one more thing? To the managers of the Schmodown, you need to draft your boy, the Star Wars boy up there. Even though he hates on Han.
I've been talking to a lot of them. You don't you worry. I've been talking to a lot of them. Most likely Kaiser.
Yeah.
Been talking to my boy Smets. He knows where to find me. So I'm coming for that belt next season,
That's
Alex.
a good
So
fit. I like that.
You better watch it.